Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of my new podcast, Hiring and Inspiring, a show where I talk all things sales, recruitment, business, leadership, and well, kind of anything else in between. Now, today's guest is, a very special guest, one of my oldest friends that I still, keep in touch with. Top bloke, a guy called Ollie Pullan. We go back a long way. I think we were friends initially when we were about sort of 10, 11-ish years old. We stayed in touch over the years. Ollie, he now works full time, professionally as an architect. He works for an architectural firm in our hometown, Guildford, in the UK. Doing really well, from what I understand. He's super passionate about what he does. He's very into it, and I'm really excited. Sorry to have a chat to him and find out, a little bit more. So, with that intro, Ollie, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Morning. Hello. Well, good evening to you, but morning over here. Good to be here.
No,
Thanks
I'm
for
really
having me
excited
on.
to have you on. Really excited to have you on. Like I said, so I introduced you. Obviously, you work full time as an architect. Now, this
Yeah.
this might be um this might be a bit of a silly question, but
Mm.
as an architect, like a typical day, what does that look like?
Typical day is you're balancing at the moment. So I've been qualified for 2.5 years, I think now. Just over 2 years, October
Yeah,
2020. So typical day for me is generally it can really vary, and that's the most exciting part of the job is that
yeah,
one day you could be going on site visits, looking at construction, running projects. Another day you could be working on designing something up to like planning, like to get planning permission. And then other days you could be looking into so like contractor would do work and they would like send you a valuation for that work, and then you're like looking at loads of numbers, so like Excel spreadsheets and um,
okay,
doing more like contract management and things like that. So the days can vary, and then you're juggling between different projects as well. So it's not like it's the profession where you come into the office and you don't really know what's going to happen because emails will come
yeah,
at
right,
you and say, can you do this for me now? And then you've got to jump on that, and it's quite exciting, keeps you on your toes for sure.
yeah, yeah. Like you said, it doesn't sound like there is actually a typical day. Every day
No,
is
there
different. You're
isn't.
working
No,
on,
no. So you at the in my company at the beginning of every week we're issued like a program of what everyone's working on, and
yeah,
generally you try and stick to that as best you can. But then things come up in the week, and like you
yeah,
might be called to go to a meeting, for example, or there's like an immediate thing that we need to address. So like if something's on being built on site, for example, you will get an email from a contractor or a phone call saying like this detail doesn't work, or like how are we going to do this, and then you need to kind of drop everything and see to
right.
that. Yeah, yeah.
And the different aspects of the job. What do you, are there some areas you prefer more than others?
Yeah, I think the way I've been doing it for the last couple of years has been the construction side. So actually, at the
Yeah,
moment, like it's really weird because obviously I went to uni when I was 18. I'm now
yeah.
29, and I'm only just seeing things that I've worked on being properly built. Um, so it takes a long process
Okay.
from that start to finishing point. So now I'm actually seeing things that I've designed getting finished, which is
Right.
really cool. So like I've been for the last couple of years as like my experience has grown, I've been pushed down into more of I've gone down the route into more like of the managing projects. So like I'm quite enjoying that at the moment, like working with contractors and like speaking with clients, see and getting like a project over the line rather than before I would
Yeah,
be just like taking the back seat and doing the drawing work. Now I'm more of like a front facing role, which I quite enjoy.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. What about like some of the projects you work on? I don't think I know this. Like, what type of actual like projects do what's like a typical project that you guys work on?
So like our company is quite lucky. We cover like a range of different sectors. So we do loads of
Yeah.
school projects. We do like houses. So one I've worked on at the moment has been a house extension. And we've only recently just got that signed off, which is great. That's like my first real project. Which was a really nice house extension actually. Really lovely client.
Yeah.
So managed to get that over the line. And then other ones I'm working on have been, um, well, like I play football with like Alex and that. And then where we
Mm.
train on a Wednesday at King's College, um, which will mean
Yeah.
nothing to your listeners, but where we train is there's a building right next door, which
Yeah.
was like an old um, school block that was built in the 1970s and like put up really quickly, a prefab thing, and that we converted that into a gym. So
Okay.
whilst we were football training, I had like a building like right next door. So that was one of our projects as well, which is more of a school
Mm.
project. So the school are using that now, and I think they've opened it up now to the public as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was a
Cool.
time where when that project was being built, the path like into the football pitch where everybody would train had to be moved, so they had to walk like 2 minutes out of their way,
Yeah.
which was obviously my fault because it's my well, it's not my fault, but yeah, I got a bit of
Yeah.
stick for that. Yeah, so it's a
Nice.
range of different things like education, residential, and then there's obviously some other things that have been
Yeah.
worked on, but just haven't got over the line yet, unfortunately.
And what's the progression like in like a career in architecture? Because you mentioned at the start when you first started, you very much were sort of taking a back seat, doing working on the designs, but in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you've progressed a little bit, a few years down the line, you're taking the lead on some of these projects. Where can you keep going to? Is there like a continued sort of progression plan in the career?
Yeah, sure. So like at the moment, I would say I work under a director. So the director
Yeah.
has got vastly more experience than I am, and they will kind of advise me and like give me kind of not the answers, but they'll tell me like this would be a good approach to do, and be wary of this, be wary of this, and like I learn from that, and I learn a lot from that. So the projects I've worked on at the
Yeah.
moment is like taking from the directors and like what can I learn in the future. So
Yeah.
the future would be basically overseeing a project on my own, um,
Right.
and that would be the next step is to try and take a project, oversee it on like myself, and then I guess after that it would be bringing someone through, like in the position that I'm in now, and being that kind of advisory
Yeah.
role.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a bit more, management responsibilities, a bit
Yes,
more of a
that's
mentor
it. Yeah.
yourself. Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
management
Yeah.
responsibility. Yeah, which is what I've been doing a little bit, or what I'm starting to do with the social media side. So one thing I've
Okay. Yeah.
done for the last couple of years has been the social media for the company, and we've been a company for 36 years now. So we've got
Yeah.
all of that um, experience and all of that like project history that never really saw the light of day. Um, and for example, House of Fraser in Guildford, we did that, which is quite a notable project. So one thing I've been doing is trying, like I enjoy doing social media, and one thing I've been doing is starting to delegate that out to more of the junior members. So
Mm.
say like, right, I need a social media post on this. Can you prepare it? Give me a draft, and then kind of preparing like the posting schedule and making sure that like our social media
Yeah.
tip top.
Yeah. Nice. So, next question is, we I think I said this to you actually when I was back in the UK over Christmas, like when when we were growing up as kids, and everyone at school was kind of just always talking about what they wanted to be when they grow up and blah blah blah. Everyone said they wanted to be a footballer or a fireman or whatever. You always like want to be an architect,
Mm.
and and it's amazing that I said this to you. I think it's amazing. You've gone and done that, and you kind of live in your childhood dream, which I
Well, yeah.
really really admire,
Well, thank you.
because it is kind of rare. my question is, now you're doing it.
Mm.
Is it is it everything you dreamed of?
It's very different to what I dreamed of.
Okay.
It's in an interesting way. So like I
Yeah.
always thought when you're an architect, I always grew up thinking, oh, you've got to be really good at maths and really good at science and like that. But you don't really. You it's For example, I didn't know that you would have to cast your eye over like valuations and all of the contract stuff. So, for example, architecture is in three parts when you're studying. So the third part is you do at uni and it's a year part time, but you're basically
Yeah.
given a load of different scenarios when you're like just like scenarios as if you're an architect and how you deal with them. So it's like somebody wants to sue you because you got this thing wrong. How do you deal with it? It's
Yeah.
like a little law degree. So you've got to, what I didn't realize
Okay.
is I thought when I was growing up, you've got to be a really good designer, have some construction knowledge. But what I also didn't know is that you've got to be good at kind of financial management. You've got to be good at,
Mm.
you need to know a little bit of law as well, like common law. So it's a lot more involved than I thought, but that's a good thing because, like I said earlier, it keeps
Yeah.
you on your toes, definitely.
Yeah. You touched on something there. Your study. I know. People, someone may know. It's just to study as an architect. You have to go through extensive. I think you did a 3-year degree, and then you worked some internships, and then you went back,
Mm,
did a couple more years of study. So, and I know, from us catching up over the years, that was a real journey for you. That was a real. There was lots of ups and downs on that path, and
definitely.
um, it was a real, it was a massive part of your life for a long time. How do
Mm,
you look back on that journey, that journey to become an architect? Mainly, all the study you did.
mm. It's a long journey. So if people don't know, the UK system, which is there, actually they might change it. They're in consultation at the moment to maybe narrow it down a little bit, which I fully support. But the way I did it was 3 years at uni, so I went to Plymouth for
Yeah,
3 years. Then I worked part time. No, then I worked full time for a year. Then I went to Kingston for 2 years and did my part two. And then I
yeah,
worked for another, I think it was 3 years before going on to do my part three, which was part time at Kingston again. So you go in one day a month and have a lecture, and then you write essays in between that, have exams. So all in all, it took me 9 years.
yeah,
So during that time, I guess you know that because you're doing it for 9 years, it's frustrating at times because you see people that went to uni, did their degree in 3 years, got it done, and then they're finished, they're set up, they're earning money. Other
yeah,
people that never went to uni are earning money, getting on with their lives, and then you're sat here just like, oh yeah, okay, I've got another year of uni to go or whatever.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so you've got to persevere. And I think I said to you when I last saw it, it's like my 20s definitely took a back seat in a way. It felt like all of my
yeah,
20s I've been learning, like working towards getting to this point or getting to something.
yeah,
And hopefully my 30s is hopefully the decade where I start reaping the benefits of that. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it's a long journey, and the people I've met through that journey, like other people that did architecture and gone on to be architects, I'm very close friends with, and we've experienced things that other people probably wouldn't do.
mm,
So yeah,
mm.
you form good bonds through that.
This is quite. I don't know, it's quite a big question, but like, is all the study and all the, I remember you telling me about the all nighters you did and all that kind of
Mm.
stuff. Is it, was it worth it?
I think so because I can't see myself doing anything else. Like
Yeah,
like growing up, everyone would be playing football or like playing PlayStation, and I was making
yeah,
stadium models. Like you know, which is fine because everyone's got their quirks, right? So like, but
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it's like, come on, Ollie, why am I be making a model at like 15? Like, honestly,
yeah,
but I think so because I wouldn't have. I wouldn't picture myself doing anything else. And I always
mm.
remember going to. I never thought I could do it. I didn't think when we were doing A levels. I didn't think we I would be clever enough to do it. So when we went to, do you remember when we went to Sandown Park for that
Yep,
uni
yep,
open
yeah, yeah,
day?
yeah, yeah,
Sandown Park is a race course in Surrey, and they did like a open day thing for uni. But
yeah. I remember. Yeah,
Plymouth Uni had a stand, and I went over just to see what their prospectus was and um, for architecture. And because I didn't know what I was going to do, but I didn't think I would be able to do architecture. And then I saw that you needed these like A level results, and I thought, right, well that's doable. That's it.
mm.
Settled. Never considered anything else. So then I just worked hard to make sure that that happened.
Yeah,
So now, yeah, in answer to your question, it was worth it. Yeah.
yeah. Great, mate. What about when you said earlier, like when you saw people who just sort of did a 3-year degree and then they graduate and then they're in the world of work, earning good
Mm.
money and off their way. When you were sort of, I've still got a couple more years till I'm at that point and I've still got a load more work. What
Yeah.
what sort of was what kept you going? Like what kept what was your sort of why to like, to keep pulling the all nighters, to keep pushing through because that must have been pretty challenging, as you said, or like, demotivating when you saw other people just kind of almost effortlessly, sorry, just
Mm.
you walking in their careers and you must have felt, they're almost ahead
Yeah.
of you. What kept you
Yeah.
going?
Well, it's like it's that, and then it's also the social side of things. So it's not like
Okay.
studying isn't like a full-time job where you do Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, and then you're done. I mean, you can do that, and if you do that, more
Yeah,
power to
yeah,
you. But also, you're working flat out on all the weekends, and it is like a 7-day slog, really.
yeah,
So like things like when all of your close friends are starting a Sunday league football team, um, and you know you can't do that. You've got to delay joining that team for a year because you've got to get your stuff done.
yeah,
Um, what kept me going was fear of failure, basically.
yeah. Okay.
So it's like I just knew that I've got to get it done. It will all be worth it one day.
Yeah,
And having people, close friends. So when I was in Kingston, I met about 5 people that are really like are good friends to me now, and we kept in touch. And we all kind of pulled each other through. We're all in the same boat, and having that support
right. Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah,
with you does help.
yeah,
It's like it's part of a bigger
yeah. I guess that inner circle you had, those friends,
mm,
they're important because they got it. They knew you both knew, or you all knew what you were going through. You could catch up with me, say, but I didn't get it. I didn't.
yeah.
I wasn't living it like you were. So,
Mm,
yeah, I completely understand that. Well, what about like I know, you talking about earlier how you were making models as a kid, and it was always your hobby, and it was what you were super passionate about. I'm always interested when I speak to people who end up sort of working in what their hobby is or what they're really passionate about as a profession.
mm.
Has that impacted like your kind of love on I don't know what the word is, sort of your passion for what you do? Like, do you still enjoy it outside of work? Do you still, I don't know, take pleasure in looking at a building? I don't know quite how to sort
No,
of
I
say
get
it,
it.
but do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do know what you're trying to say. It's interesting for like people that like I speak to. They'll always say, "Oh, you need to visit this city because the architecture's brilliant." But like
Yeah,
with architecture, there's different styles, obviously. So you've got your like more historic architecture. Then you've got your Dubai's, which is your ultra modern
Yeah.
like style, and everything in between that. So I think you find what you're interested in, and then you get excited about that in
Okay.
terms of like different styles of building. So for me, like you throw a stadium in front of me, I would be really interested in seeing that. And I still am. They're still my love. Like I love them.
Yeah.
And if you throw like if I see a stadium, I'm really interested in it. I'm interested in the history of it. But then if I was to go and see like an old like stately home, for example, I'd probably be less interested in it.
Right. Okay.
And that's just, but everybody's different when it
Yeah.
comes to
But
like
but
architecture.
working in the industry hasn't, it doesn't sound like it's sort of thrown you off, because you hear people, I
No,
don't know,
definitely
like
not.
chefs who work in food suddenly
Mm,
hate cooking, or musicians
yeah.
who play professionally never. I don't know. Like it seems like it hasn't for you though.
No, it hasn't for me. And if anything, you like because I'm on that learning curve at the moment. Um, like I notice things a little bit more. So one thing I've been
Okay. Yeah.
doing in the last year was like snagging, and that's like where you go through like a completed building and you pick up all of the tiny little details that you can't really sign off yet that you need like a contractor to go in and
Okay.
pick up and just like amend quickly. So you're looking at like the details of the building more. Um, which like maybe 2 or 3 years ago I wasn't. I was looking at the whole building as a object.
Yeah.
Whereas
Cool.
now I'm like delving deeper into different like the detail of it and like noticing
Yeah.
things
Cool.
and appreciating that.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Mate, so next question, I'm going to switch this up completely here.
Oh,
So going back in time now. So as I said at the start of this chat, Ollie's a very old friend of mine. We go a long way back. The bulk of our friendship, me and you, so that the time we spent most together was probably between the ages of 11 to 18.
mm,
So kind of almost a boy to becoming a young man, right? That period of your life.
yeah.
That's obviously when we were super close and hanging out all the time. Because it's something I sometimes think about. How do you look back at that period of our life and your life?
Happily, I think
Yeah.
like I wish I appreciated it a bit more.
Mm.
Fine, but like playing obviously like we played football together. We used to go down the cricket
Mm.
nets and play for hours. Where I
Yeah.
wasn't really much of a challenge for you, but there you go. And then like golf, like what an amazing time we had. Like
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
you, Alex, Tom Fleming, like playing golf like all summer, and like looking back on it, I look back on it really fondly. And to have that friendship group as well that we had, and that like to know
Mm.
that when you came over last year for us to all go out and like watch that Champions League final together.
Yeah, that's
Like
great, wasn't it?
years later, like to have that still is like it's quite special, I think. To all
Yeah.
still be in touch with everyone, and yeah, I look back on it, yeah, quite fondly. How about you
Yeah.
though? Do you?
Yeah, yeah, more, much of the same, really. I look back on it because it's sort of that period is when we grew up together. Like we became,
Mm,
like I said just now, when we first were friends, we were boys, and then by the time at the end of school, we obviously slightly went our own different ways a little bit, but we were 18 and young men.
yeah,
That like growing up together, like we just went through stuff together,
yeah, we
like that
did,
you
yeah.
just don't go through, that you say with a colleague, that a friend that you make now and in your sort of late 20s,
Mm,
just that bonding over just talking about a girl you liked, or just the stupid stuff that we used to do, and first
mm,
time like getting alcohol together, like just things
yeah,
like that, growing up together, like those you don't realize at the time, but like those things we just went through and that period with the friends and that we had, like
mm,
it's just the foundation of the friendship. And I imagine everyone is the same. The
yeah,
friendship you've got at that time, at that period of your life, is like you can you can go on and do different things in your life, and you can go on to do different things, but you can always come back to that, and that's why you've just got that foundation of the friendship, which is set in stone. But yeah, I look back at it as, just we had, like pretty fondly. We were quite lucky to live in a nice part of the world, and a privileged sort of upbringing. So
Yeah.
I look back on it, and with a lot of good memories. Switching it up again, I want to ask you about. So we've gone the present, we've done the past. We're talking about the future now.
Yeah.
I know you've got a big year ahead. You've got an exciting year ahead. You're getting married later on this year.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, how's the sort of the preparation going for that, and your general sort of feelings about that big day?
I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
We're getting to a point now where there's starting to be a few things that need to be done. So it's like ramping up slowly, and that's fine.
yeah,
Um, we've got a date sorted. We've got the venue sorted. We've got the church sorted, which is brilliant. And that's half the battle, I think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Preparation's going well, as well as can be expected. I've appointed the team, so like
yeah.
the best man, the groomsmen, etc. Um, and it's going well. It's going well. I think at the moment.
Yeah, I guess maybe closer to the time it might, as I don't know,
Yeah, I think I'm at a
things
point where
it
I'm
gets
like,
closer.
yeah, I think I'm at a point at the moment where I'm not too like worried about it. I'm more looking forward to it. But then there's like, the more I speak to people, it's like, oh, have you considered like flowers, photographers, and things like that? It's like, I haven't,
Yeah,
but that's gonna happen, and I'm gonna have to do it, and like I'm gonna have to approach
yeah,
it like something I do with like work or something. I have to
mm,
treat it with like the utmost respect and just make sure that it's all done and properly and ready to go on the day.
yeah. Amazing, mate. So you mentioned earlier about again talking about the future here. So you were saying how you were really looking forward to the next sort of period of your life. I hate to remind you, we turned 30 this year.
I know.
Um, you mentioned about how you spent your sort of 20s really grafting away to now be in a position where you can make hay a little bit and make the most of it.
Mm.
How do you feel? Two questions here. How do you feel about turning 30 and the years ahead, and what are you sort of not easy to answer this, but what are you predicting for your 30s and
Oh
then
God.
the next decade, say?
Yeah, I never asked you the same question, but it is really weird because like I was watching The Apprentice last night and they said we want to target the age 30 to 40 bracket. And then you think to yourself, oh my God, in 6 months' time, I'm going to be in that age bracket. What on earth? Um, but do I look back? I look back on my 20s as more of like I fulfilled everything I wanted to do. So like
Yeah,
I, become an architect. I've like done all the studying for it. I've obviously got this flat and met Larissa. Really happy with like
yeah,
everything that I've achieved in the last 10 years. And obviously got engaged. So that's amazing.
yeah, yeah,
So then I look back on it as like I'm like with like I'm satisfied. I don't know if that's the
mm,
way to say it. Whereas other people, I guess, would have the mindset of, oh, I enjoyed my 20s. Like, I went out and did loads of different experiences, but like, obviously, I explained because of my studying, I wasn't able to do that as
yeah,
much. So going forward in my 30s, I guess, I'd like to have a kid. Um,
yeah,
Sooner or later, and I'd like to just progress with work, like learn as much as I can and become a
yeah,
good architect. And
yeah,
whatever growth comes with that in terms of professional, like career, then that's great. But I think
yeah,
the main ambition is to become a good architect and everything
yeah,
that comes with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking to our friend Tom earlier, and he was
Mm.
saying, I asked him a similar question, to be honest, and he, yeah, he similar kind of thing. Like he meant, and I think, he really wants to kick on with his career.
Mm.
As he is obviously 30 already. So I was asking him, how do you feel about turning 30? And he's like, yeah, now's my time to really kick on. And, now he's found what he hopefully wants to do career wise. And I feel like a lot of people that through your 30s, that is what it's for. It's where you really put your foot on the gas and kick on.
Yeah.
Mate, no, all very good, all very exciting. One final question from me. This is a question that I've asked a few people on this show, and I'm interested because it's people can take it in different ways. It's around topic of success.
Yep.
So, like I said, you can take this question whichever way you like. But
Mm.
what does success mean to you in your life? Success to Ollie Pullan. What does it mean?
So success is, I think it's about being, like I said earlier, about being satisfied.
Yeah,
It's about lying in bed at night thinking, have you tried your best? Whether or not it's worked out well or not, have you tried your best? And if you have, then
yeah, okay,
you can sleep well at night. If you haven't, then that's going to keep you up. That's what success is to me, and everything that comes after success is usually if you try your best and you go into it with the best intentions and everything, then things will work out. I'm a firm believer of that. If you do everything you can, then things will work out in your favor. And I guess that's what success is to me, is that you've got to be you've got to persevere, you've got to keep going, but you've got to always try your best. And as long as you try your best, then I think it will all work out in the end,
yeah.
generally.
In a professional sense, personal sense, or
I
just
think
everything?
everything. I think everything.
Yeah.
Like professionally, if something goes wrong at work, like you just got to remind yourself,
Mm.
um, did you try everything you could? This
Yeah.
thing that went wrong, was it in your control? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. If it's not, then, or if did you
Mm.
know about it at the time because you're still learning? And if not, then, you'll just say to yourself, learn from it and grow. And as long as you do, then that's all you can do in that situation. And then personally, I think there's two things to it, I guess. If personal life, are you making the time for the people that you love? If not, then how can you address that? And also, I guess going back to the whole thing of me wanting to be an architect since the age of 7, um, it is really embrace what you love doing. So
Yeah.
you know, when I'm making models as a kid, I look back on that now. Maybe there was a time when I was quite ashamed of it and I wouldn't show people the models and the drawings and everything. But now I look back on it and think, actually, that's good because that got me to where I'm at, and that was like a stepping stone in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I would say that if anybody has got something that they like doing, if it's a craft thing, if it's drawing, if it's selling a product or anything, just embrace it and enjoy it and take
Yeah.
ownership of it. And that's what it is. If you can find happiness in that, and if you can try your best, then I guess you will be successful. And if you're
Mm.
just satisfied with
Mm.
with everything, and I don't know if that makes sense. There's a lot of waffle.
Yeah. It does, man. It does. I love it. I think what I like about it is, um, it's not. There's no comparison to other people about it.
Mm,
Like you're, it's more like it's not successful. Am I better than that person? Am I doing whatever?
mm,
It's when you say as you lying in bed at night, have I given it everything I've got?
yeah,
Not
yeah,
no one else.
yeah,
Have I given it everything I've got? Doesn't matter really how I'm doing it. Anyone else?
mm,
As long as I can say yes to that question,
mm.
then like you say, you can be satisfied and
Yeah.
you
And
can
that's
take
that's
that as
it's
success.
that's kind of like a new thing that I've tried to adopt in my mindset is that. So like I was really bad at comparing myself to others, especially when you're studying at uni and you're all doing the same project on the same site, and then you do a piece of work that you think is really good and like it's taking you hours, and then you pin it up on the wall, and then someone else comes along, puts their work up next to you, and it's like mind blowing. Like, how am I ever going
Mm.
to they're going to get really good grades?
Yeah.
And I think with age, you just learn that the only people you can do anything that is yourself. And the only, like, you're in control of your day.
Yeah.
It's like golf, you know, the professional in football, taking goal that you concede. But in golf,
Yeah.
like, if you do a bad shot, you can let that ruin your round and like still on that like holes and holes and holes. Just like how I used to do a bad shot and throw all of my clubs out the bag. Or or you could just say, okay, that was a bad one. I'll suck it up and
Yeah.
we'll tee off on the next hole and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And try and cover it back. And I think that's what you've got to try and do is just try and stay calm, stay in control.
Yeah. I think, yeah, like, well, I remember a particularly bad debacle on the ninth one time.
That's the one I was referring to. I think it's every club.
But like, yeah, but the thing about that meltdown, if you don't mind me calling it a meltdown, like that
It
was
was a meltdown.
like no, you know, it was your own game that you were not, you know, it was like that's the thing about golf, isn't it? Like it's your actual opponent can't really physically affect what you do.
No.
You know, it's not like they can come in football, like they can put in a great tackle and you know, it's all on you. And
Mm.
yeah, just going back full circle here, like I don't know, your best like your best opponent is yourself.
Yeah,
Always
definitely.
that's what I always try and do,
Definitely.
and I've tried and learned to do. Still
Yeah.
struggle with it, but just try and compete against yourself. Try and be better than
Mm.
you were yesterday,
Mm.
and you're on to a winner. Still playing any golf, by the way?
No, not for a while. No. It's been ever since I moved. I haven't because obviously Guildford's a bit further away.
Yeah, yeah,
It is something that I want to get back into, but I'm enjoying playing
yeah,
football at the moment. We've got a really good team and a good bunch of guys. So I think
yeah,
hopefully when I'm done with that, I'll get back into golf. But yeah,
yeah.
maybe in
Got a
the
few more
future.
years in those legs.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, make the
Yeah.
most of it. Yeah, mate. Gotta say, really enjoyed that chat.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
Thanks
Thank you.
a bunch for coming on and sharing your journey, sharing your wisdom. I learn a few little things about you I didn't know, so I always appreciate that. And mate, doing some great things. So keep up the good work,
You
and
too.
yeah,
You too. I
great to
see you
chat.
on
And
LinkedIn.
appreciate the.
I see you on LinkedIn. I see you on TikTok, and you're doing moves. Yeah.
Probably well,
And this
rather you didn't really,
podcast as
but
well. Like, good on you for like starting a podcast, man. Like, keep
appreciate it,
going.
mate. Yeah, yeah, well, maybe a repeat guest down the line. But
Yeah.
Ollie Pullan, great to chat. Thanks,
Yeah.
mate.
Thank you. Cheers. Have a nice day.